Teddy 27. This is Angry Teacher Chronicles, and I apologize, y'all. I have been under the weather. Shit. All of the pollen and junk that's in the air has really, it done took me down. It done took me down. I'm trying to tell you, it had me out for the last few days. So I've been kind of out of it. I'm still kind of pulling myself back up together before I go out of town this coming weekend. But anyway, I'm going to give you my review today for Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones. Final season. Season 8. This is episode 1. Love Game of Thrones. You just have to love Game of Thrones. Oh, just so you know, I do have another Golden Girls shirt. Stay golden. Anyway, so let's get through this. I'm not going to try and be long because I still don't feel 100%, but we're going to get through it. Let me start off by saying that before the season started, I had already said at the end of the last season, which was a year and a half, about almost 2 years ago, I had said that I was totally, unequivocally Team Cersei. I had gone over to the dark side. Say what you want to say. Call me whatever you want to call me. But I was totally Team Cersei. Why? Because when Jon Snow ceremoniously decided to bend the knee, I was done with him. I was done with him at that point. I was done with Daenerys long time ago. I was done with Daenerys a long time ago. But I certainly was done with Jon Snow after he decided to bend the knee. All because of two reasons. One, because he wanted him some cooch. And two, because he felt guilty for getting Daenerys' dragon killed. And so, yeah, whatever. But let's move on. Hold on, let me get something to drink. Alright. So it starts off, they're in Winterfell, and Jon and Daenerys are coming to Winterfell. This is Daenerys' first time in the north. And so everybody's there. The army of the Dothrakis and Unsullied are there. You see Jon, you see Daenerys, you see the Hound, you see the bastard son of Robert Baratheon, and the one who's the blacksmith or whatever, who makes the sword. Tyrion is there. Lord Varys is there. Grey Worm, my boy, is back. Missandei. You know, all of them are there. Everybody's there. So Sansa, let me tell you something. Sansa had that side eye on 1,000. Every time she saw that bitch Daenerys, she wasn't here for it. She was like, I'm not here for it. She was like me. Every time they were in the same room or the same space, she gave her one of these. One of these. That's what she gave. She wasn't here for her. She was not here. She was not here for any parts of Daenerys. Not here for her. But so they went through all of that. So they meet with the lords and ladies over the different I guess you would call them, I want to say cities or forts or parts of the north, kingdoms of the north, if you want to say that. And so I can't remember her name, but remember the little girl, who's over one of the cities in the north? Well, she got up and she had to remind Jon Snow. She said, hey, let me tell you something, boo. We didn't give the north to Daenerys. We made you king of the north. We didn't make this bitch a goddamn thing. The little girl wasn't here for it. And I love the little girl. I can't think of her name right now, but I love her. And then Sansa, and I forgot to mention that Sansa, when Daenerys first came, Sansa, you know, she said out of her mouth to Daenerys, Winterfell is yours. Your Grace, but you could tell Sansa wasn't here for it. Sansa only said that because Jon Snow was king and Jon Snow gave it up. But Sansa's not here for it. So they start talking about everything, and John is trying to assure everybody that, listen, I had to do this because I was trying to protect the North. He said, I did this to protect my people and to protect the North. That is why I bent the knee and to Daenerys or whatever. And so, Sansa, Sansa has really come a long way because I couldn't stand that bitch for like 5.5 seasons. I'm just being honest. I could not stand that bitch for like 5.5 seasons. But because she deserves, the Debo Award, I call, DBOE, Dumbest Bitch on Earth Award. That's the award that I give to Mimi Faust off Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. She was getting that award for a lot of seasons. But anyway. But Sansa has come a long way. She's learned a lot over the years. And so she was like, okay, y'all brought this big ass army and all these people, but we only saved enough food to get the people of the North through the winter. We haven't stored up enough food to feed hundreds of thousands of people. Who's going to feed them? Where's the food going to come from? So Sansa is, forward thinking. So, a lot goes on. Brand is there. Arya's there. Like everybody, there's this big reunion of the Starks. The Stark children, well, the remaining ones. Because, Rickon is dead. Robb is dead. But you got Bran. You got Arya's there. You got Sansa's there. And you got Jon Snow. So at some point, you see Sansa and Tyrion, they meet up. And Tyrion hasn't seen Sansa since Joffrey died. And so, they have a little cute little meeting up. Hey, I'm glad you made it. Hey, I'm glad you made it. You still alive. Oh, I didn't think you was going to be alive. Oh, I didn't think you was going to be alive either. So forth and so on. So then, but I think the biggest part was you needed to see in the beginning that, okay, we needed to pick up the pieces from where we left off. Because remember, we didn't know what happened to Grey Worm and the Unsullied when they were set up for that trap over in Westeros. Is it Westeros? No. Is it Westeros? Yeah. When Cersei set them up, basically. And then, okay, so then you got back at King's Landing, you got Cersei. Now, the hand of the queen, he comes, the old guy with the little robe type thing. He comes and he lets Cersei know, listen, the White Walkers have made it past the wall. The wall is no more. The wall done came down. They done made it past the wall. They'll be descending upon the North real soon. And she was like, good. That'll give them something to do. Then Euron Greyjoy. They go over to Euron Greyjoy where he has Theon's sister. And he lets Theon's sister, she was like, well, why don't you just kill me? He was like, no, I'm not going to kill you. I really forgot what he said, but the basic thing that I took from that scene was when he told her, listen, I'm going to go fuck the queen. I ain't got time to be worried about you. I'm going to go fuck Cersei. I'm going to go fuck the queen. I ain't got time to play around with your little ugly dyking ass. I don't care. And so he left her on the boat with the crew and stuff like that while he was going to go play around with Cersei. So Euron Greyjoy goes to meet up with Cersei. And it was a back and forth. And he was like, okay, so are you going to give me the cooch? And Cersei was like, basically like, bitch, you're beneath me. And so he was like, now wait a minute, bitch. I done went and got all these ships. I done went and got all these horses. Because they went down this whole list of, okay, how many troops we have, how many horses, how many this, how many that. And basically, they didn't have as many as she thought they would have. She also thought that there would be elephants. And he was like, no, there's none of that. I brought what they had, okay? And he was like, listen, I did my part. When are you going to do your part? Because, listen, I need some satisfaction. Now, you need to give up the cooch. So, she kind of, at first, you was like, nah, we're not here for it. And then before she goes into her chambers, she kind of, acquiesces and says, okay, I guess I'll let him in. Because she ain't had none since Jamie left, so I guess she needed her some dick. So that's, so Euron got to fuck him some Cersei. Him and Cersei got it. Damn. Then you see, the guy, the guy that was with Tyrion, oh God, the guy who was a good fighter, and the guy who was teaching Jamie how to fight again some seasons ago. That guy, the guy who just really don't care. All he care about is his money. Him, who was real good friends with Tyrion, and Tyrion is the reason that he got the King's Landing. Anyway, the hand of the Queen come to tell him, listen, Cersei has some things for you to do. And so he was like, well, am I gonna get paid this time? And so he was like, listen, that was her brothers. When Cersei tells you she's gonna do something, you're not gonna get it in the aftermath. You gonna get it up front. So he was like, listen. So he brought in this bow, and he was like, who do you need me to kill? Daenerys, and he was like, nah, not her. She wants you to kill her brothers, plural. If I'm not mistaken, he said brothers, plural. But he brought out that bow so that he could use the crossbow to kill Tyrion, like Tyrion used the crossbow to kill Tywin Lannister, the dad. So, and she wants Jamie dead too. So he kind of agrees, but then he doesn't necessarily say yes, but he does take the crossbow. So there wasn't a handshake, there wasn't an affirmative answer, there was just that. Then after that, you see Theon, you see on the ships where Theon's sister was, arrows come in and the men on the ship start dying. Lo and behold, Theon has come with some people, and Theon rescues his sister. And he and his sister start to sail back to the Iron Islands. And so they were like, as they were sailing back to the Iron Islands, the sister was like, listen, I'm not going up there to the north. She was like, listen, somebody got to hold down the fort down here. And she said, if the Starks and Daenerys are successful, or if they're not successful, they're going to need somewhere to go to get away from the White Walkers. And the Iron Islands are the only place you can go to get away from the White Walkers. So, we're going to hold it down here. And then she says to him, I know you want to go fight with the Starks. Go. You have my blessing. So she let him go to Winterfell to fight with the Starks. Back at Winterfell, Daenerys has a conversation with Jon, and basically says, Sansa don't like me, and she needs to understand that she needs to respect me. And I just really got by, and I told you at the beginning of this video, I've been Team Cersei since the end of last season, and I fell out with Daenerys a while ago. So I just don't like the whole she better respect me, da 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 da. Well, in the north, and you saw people kept mentioning this throughout them being in Winterfell. Say, listen, it's you better respect me up here in the north. We don't play that fuck shit. Up here, you have to, respect got to be earned. Nah, we ain't just gonna give it to you like that. So, I just didn't like that whole back and forward. So then there's this whole beautiful scene when they go and they John rides the dragons with Daenerys, and you get. I mean, they had to spend some money on the graphics and all of that stuff that went with that because it was a beautiful scene going to go ride the dragons, and so then they go fuck, and the dragon looks at John like, really, really, and at that moment, I kind of saw it as the dragon knowing and acknowledging that John was a Targaryen. That's what I saw that as. Tell me how you feel about that, but that's kind of what I saw that as. So that even though people saw it differently, my friends said they saw it as bitch get up off my mother, but I kind of saw that because he didn't do anything. He was like, really? And like I felt like he was like, hey, you're a Targaryen. Whatever. Where am I? Oh, okay. Arya sees the Hound, and they see each other, and there's this mutual acknowledgement of this. Oh, you alive? Oh, you alive? And I think even though it didn't seem that way, I think there was this mutual like, okay, I see you. I'm happy for you. I'm glad you made it. I see you. There was that whole mutual admiration thing there. Then Sansa talks to Jon, and Sansa says, listen, the House Glover is not coming back. They already said they'll be home. They're not coming back to fight with y'all. And so is a couple other families because they did not make Daenerys queen. They made you the king. And so Jon kept trying to tell her no, we got to do that. She wasn't here for it. Bran Daenerys meets with Samwell. Jon meets with Samwell first, and they're so happy to see each other. And that was a good moment because they hadn't seen each other since Samwell had left for the Citadel. Then Daenerys meets with Samwell after that, and she tells him just very matter-of-factly, bitch, I killed your daddy and your brother. Get over it. I mean, it was so cold and so callous. And it was like, really, bitch? What happened to the Daenerys that was trying to free slaves and all of that, maybe about 4 or 5 seasons ago? Now we got this bitch who gets power, and now she just don't give a fuck. Whatever. Then, so Bran meets up with Samwell, and he reminds Samwell, listen, it's time to tell Jon. Samwell says, well, you tell him, because that's your brother. Bran was like, no, he's not my brother. You need to tell him he trusts you most. And so he says, okay. Samwell goes and meets with Jon down in the catacombs or whatever, where they, keep the bodies after people die, whatever, with the little statues. Samwell meets with Jon down there, and he tells him, listen. And he gives him the evidence. And so at first, Jon doesn't believe him, but then he does. Eventually, he does. And so he just tells him, and I'm glad that they did not drag that out and let this go on for 4 or 5 episodes. They let him know right up front, hey, that's your aunt. Your name is, I think it's Rhaegar Targaryen. I forgot his first name, but he's a Targaryen, 6th of his name. So that is, so he learns that. This is toward the end of the episode. Then you see the men who escaped the wall. And at a certain point in the episode, Jon tells one of the little boys to go back and tell his people to come and fight, I think. We're getting ready to go fight. I think that's what he told him. Anyway, we go to the scene where you see the men who escaped the wall after the whole White Walkers came and, tore that bitch down. And so they're searching one of these forts or one of these houses or whatever. And so you see the little boy on the wall. And you see that the same little symbol that one time we saw a few seasons ago that the White Walkers had put in the snow. It was on the wall, and it was made out of the boy's arms and legs, or other people's arms and legs. And so the boy wasn't dead. He was still like a White Walker. And they had to set him on fire. He was screaming and all of that. So they were like, listen, we got to get to Winterfell before the White Walkers do, because this is about to be bad. And so finally, the last scene that you see is Jaime Lannister. He arrives at Winterfell, and he done dyed his hair black. I guess he trying to be incognito. First thing that bitch see when he get off the horse, he look over. Who's sitting there? Bran in the wheelchair. Bran look at him. He look at Bran. Close the credits. I was like, because remember, you got to go all the way back to season 1 when he pushed Bran out of that window, and that's how Bran got crippled and got lost the ability to use his legs or whatever. That was Jaime who did that. They tried to kill that bitch. So you see, it was like this. Yeah, bitch, I'm here. And so I want to see how that. So we'll see how that plays out next episode. So that was Game of Thrones. Some of my friends said they were disappointed. The only problem I had was I hated that it was only 1 hour. I wanted it to be a little longer, but I'm okay. They gave me everything I needed to know. They connected all the dots and tied up some loose ends from the previous season. And so now we are ready to go. I don't think they're going to make us wait very long before they get to the epic fighting. I think that's going to happen pretty quickly. So because they quickly tried to tie up a lot of loose ends and they've been getting stuff out. Like, okay, this is that. The other thing that I forgot to mention real fast is Euron Greyjoy told Cersei, "Oh, I'm going to put a prince in you." I thought Cersei was already pregnant from Jaime. We don't know. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, that is Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 1. That's all I got for y'all. Thank y'all for coming. See y'all next week. Y'all drive safely.